Hello, MQM 220 class. I am Adam Hansen, and the four subordinates I selected from the Connect Yard for this project are Bart and Bailey from Nicole G, and Melody and Tyler from Nick Foley. This is the second installment of the video project 2, where I am given a task by Dr. Dustin and use that task to see how students can lead the four people to accomplish the required mission. The assigned task for me is to register at least 300 runners for a 5K race to benefit St. Jude and use that prompt amongst the four people and lead them to get the job done. First, I would budget my time and divide the workload amongst the four people. So there's 300 divided by 4 is 75, and I would require the 75 people per person for the 5K race. The next step what I would implement would be for the four people to brainstorm and see what the best methods to use, which would be sufficient in this situation. I would help them brainstorm with possible ideas. However, they would be on their own, as it would be up to them to put in the work to find people to register. Possible ideas I would throw in would be to try malls and setting up tables outside local retailers to convince people to register for a great cause. The leadership theory I would use would be using authentic leadership, because I want people to understand themselves as people instead of just employees of an organization. And that's the best way, in my opinion, for people to express the company ethics, which we all want to begin with, is by being true to yourself, or being true to your values and your core aspects of your inner personality. And that's what brings out the best employee attitude also. Second, I would use humility as a leader to lead the people using interactive leadership, which is a win-win on both sides, as I would be using team building aspects for the main culture people would be required to work with. I would require that for them to get the job done. Having implemented these leadership traits, the leadership theory I would utilize would be the contingency approach. Since my leadership style would have to adapt to the working environment I potentially would be in within that moment, I would adapt along with having my leadership traits involved as well. Excuse me. I chose this contingency approach because I believe it is the most appropriate for this task, and people in this business field need to realize and internalize that you have to be able to adapt to anything and any situation in order to be and remain successful. Secondly, there'd be possible communication issues for the four people that would be in this group scenario. How would they communicate? The best option in this case would be via phone and texting, obviously, or calling to keep up with the workload and be on the same page. Possible group message approach as the correct channel would be an innovative idea, since that would be they would be in separate places, and that's how they would be best in order to communicate with each other to get people to register for the race. Along with this channel, I would require them to use open communication without using negative judgment when they are consulting each other in this format. I would require them to ask value questions to each other instead of just replying without using meaningfulness. I would want them to learn from this communication model instead of just doing it, just texting just to text. This communication issue would happen, so it's best to resolve it using this methodology. In terms of using the best and most suitable motivation technique, I would use Herzberg's two-factor theory, which involves hygiene and motivation factors. The hygiene factors would be positive, such as great pay and benefits, and even if the benefits for those people wouldn't be the best, but I would throw in bonuses if they make it in time for the deadline. The motivators I would implement would be that people could make a difference in the St. Jude kids' lives and see themselves become better marketers as well. This task isn't the easiest of tasks to use, so I understand that I must be fair with the four people, since this task is a mountain they would have to put in loads of effort to get to the top. I would send them motivation techniques via text and to help their mental state and keep them on track. One aspect of the group dynamic that I believe would occur for the four people not believing in themselves and to register the 75 people. Let's be honest, this task is difficult to begin with, and if you don't know what you're doing, having people register for a race requires physical activity and endurance that could be a burden to them. On the other hand, if you know how to use the prompt to your advantage in terms of selling this idea using persuasion, you can increase your chances of people signing up. You could possibly say it's for a great cause, or think of the kids at St. Jude. They would want you to run for them. This dynamic would arise, and my response would be what I just said. And if you don't put in the work, then you gotta try harder. Hard work eventually produces positive results. In conclusion, the task of registering a total of 300 people for the 5K race for St. Jude could be done in the ways I presented to you. This is a challenging road that they would take, but it wouldn't be impossible. I hope you enjoyed this scenario, and good luck in your futures in the field of business. Thank you.